Since severe weather ripped through here and other parts of the country, we continue to see people work to pick up the pieces. In Kentucky, the flooding has been just absolutely devastating.
Yeah, the image is really wild. This afternoon, I chatted with Rachel Hepner with the American Red Cross, who is in hard-hit Kentucky, to learn about how we all might be able to help.
First of all, Rachel, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I can't even begin to imagine what the situation is like, but describe where you are and what exactly is going on right now.
Sure. So I'm actually in Frankfurt. So Frankfurt had a significant amount of flooding. I'm at what we call a pod. It's our point of distribution. So behind me, I think you can see that cars are lining up. They're coming in from the streets over here. They can get bottles of water. They can get cleanup kits. They can get non-perishable food. So this is actually going to be going on through right around the dinner hour. We'll have some feeding trucks that come in here as well. Just on the other side of me is actually the Ohio River. The rivers here in Kentucky are expected to crest somewhere around 3 to 3:30 tomorrow morning. So while things seem to be okay right now, the next 24 hours are going to be pretty critical.
Eh, Have you ever, I think with the Red Cross, you probably travel a lot and you see a lot of things. So how does this compare to some of the disaster areas, and what are the needs very similar to many disasters, or is there a uniqueness here?
So what's unique in this particular DR, this disaster response, is that the eastern part of the state is coming off the last flooding that happened, less than a month ago. So we've had back-to-back responses that are happening in Kentucky kind of simultaneously that have kind of been meshed into one. The one thing I will say, just from my particular experience with flooding, is that flooding happens later. So especially when you have rivers involved. So we've got the Ohio River, we have the Tennessee River, and we have the Red River. And in one area, they actually did a controlled dam release, which I think helped. Definitely helps kind of alleviate some of the pressure of those rivers. But a lot of times, you just have to kind of wait for those rivers to crest and then decide, do we need additional support? We have roughly 400 Red Crossers across the state of Kentucky, volunteers and staff. Some partners that they have here, they've got the local fire marshal. We've got people from the United Way. And you guys can see behind me where they're handing out these cleanup kits as the waters recede. And a lot of folks just don't want to leave their home. And there's different reasons for that, whether it's looting or they don't want to leave their house. But they are coming to get these cleanup kits and some items to start that process. So we are a well-oiled machine here today. And then I'll be traveling throughout the rest of the state. I will say that Paducah is still probably one of the hardest hit areas. But we have several operations that are happening there to help support those folks.
So we're talking about probably hundreds, thousands of people who
Yeah.
are leaning on you all for support.
Right, right. We had 13 shelters open last night. One of the goals that we have as an organization is, we open shelters, and our next goal is to close those shelters. So, like I said, the next 24 hours are going to be pretty critical to see exactly what happens with this water, these rivers. But yeah, we are very well staffed. We've got supplies that are coming in all the time, and we've got our disaster mental health people here, and it's a wonderful team effort, and especially here in Frankfurt, you can see, and actually not just Frankfurt, but throughout the state, community members coming forward and helping too. So it is a community effort. It's not just a Red Cross effort.
I think those of us here at home are saying, you know what, this time it may not be us, but next time it could be. We just never know when those natural disasters are going to impact us. So in the meantime,
Right.
we want to be able to do something to help these folks. So how can we here in Ohio help those folks in Kentucky?
Sure. So, the one thing that I always say, make a financial contribution to the Red Cross. You can do that at redcross.org. Sign up to volunteer. We have volunteers. We call them event-based volunteers that specifically train to deploy. We always need bodies, whether they're staff or volunteers. So if it's not something that you can give the gift financially, giving a gift of time and spending a couple of weeks helping, members of our country, I mean, it's such a rewarding experience. So I would say, give the time or give the financial contribution. We're not taking any type of, physical donations, clothing, anything of that nature. But certainly we'll take your gift of time.
Yeah, and how does that money and that time, how can you all expound about that. You know, as you said, you don't take clothes or food or things like that, but you all are able to do a little bit more with money and with time than
Right.
just our donations.
Right. So, I mean, the quickest way to help these folks, a financial contribution puts that money to work right away. So, because we still have shelters open, our client assistance hasn't started yet, but that will come a little bit later because some folks may not be able to get back into their homes for weeks or months, days. Okay. So, they're going to have to need a place to go after the shelters close. As far as time is considered, we have people really kind of from all over the Eastern coast that are here helping us. Quite a few from Ohio as well. But that gift of time really is maybe a day or two of training. And depending on what it is that you want to do, we'll get you trained and we'll get you out the door. And, it's only April, and Kentucky has seen devastation, over the past 4 to 5 weeks. We're just kind of getting started with these spring storms. So we don't know what's going to happen. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict the weather. But this seems to be pretty consistent. We've seen, the Kentucky tornadoes that happened in December of 21, very strange, not something that happens very often. So this state has been hit with a lot of devastation over the past few years. And so we just want to make sure that, we have the volunteers, we have the resources.
Yeah, and as you said, we don't know when the next one or where the next one might
Right.
happen. So it's about being ready. And so if people at home are saying, okay, I've always wanted to volunteer, I haven't had time, but now I do, or hey, I want to make that financial contribution, where do they go to get started on that?
Sure, redcross.org. You can make it. There should be something there to make a financial contribution. And then right at the top, there's an option to volunteer. We take some intake information. You go through a background check. One of our volunteers will call and do an initial screening to see what you're interested in. And then the chapters will grab you and we'll get in touch and say, hey, we've got some training available for you and let's get you ready to go.
Wonderful. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah,
We
my pleasure.
It's great checking in with her. As she said, she was in Frankfort, Kentucky. She said Paducah was hit really hard as well. You see those images. They're really just stunning. So if you really want to help in some way, the Red Cross can use your help. For more information on how to donate, volunteer, sign up for training, we have a QR code right there. Go ahead, pull out your phone, scan that there, open up that web address, and get rolling on it there.